Let's be honest, you need to stop saying, "I think," in every sentence. Do you ever feel like you're stuck on a verbal treadmill, just using the same tired words over and over again? You've got a brilliant idea or some crucial feedback, but when you open your mouth, the words just fall flat. They don't do your thoughts justice. It's one of the most frustrating feelings in the world, right? You can see the concept perfectly in your own mind. It's clear. It makes sense. It's important. But turning that into spoken words feels like trying to take a high-resolution photo with a foggy camera lens. You end up saying things like, "I think we should change the plan," or "I guess this is a good option," and you can almost feel the power of your idea fizzling out. You see that flicker of confusion in your listener's eyes, and your own confidence starts to take a nosedive. You second-guess yourself, not because the idea was bad, but because your words failed you. But what if the fix wasn't about memorizing a dictionary? What if you could sound more precise, confident, and impactful just by adding 3 specific words to your vocabulary? Welcome back to English Podcast and Patterns. I'm here to help you speak real English with confidence. If you're tired of sounding repetitive or unsure, then this lesson is for you. I'm going to give you 3 powerful words that will immediately help you articulate your thoughts with more clarity and authority. These aren't just words, they're tools. They signal to your audience and to yourself that what you're about to say is well-reasoned, firm, and worth hearing. We're going to explore what they really mean, why they work so well, and practice them until they feel completely natural. Ready to sound less like a maybe person and more like a leader? Let's get started. Let's start with a classic scenario. You're in a team meeting, and everyone's debating the best way to move a project forward. You know what the right call is, based on your experience and the data. The weakest way to say it is, "I think this new software is the right choice for our team." So what's wrong with that? Grammatically, nothing. But psychologically, it's weak. It frames your statement as just another opinion, a flimsy thought you're not fully committed to. It basically invites people to ignore it. It says, "Here's my little idea," not, "Here's a conclusion based on facts." To really sell it and show unshakable confidence, you need a word with more muscle. That word is assert. Instead of, "I think this is the right course of action," you say, "I assert that this is the right course of action." Feel that? The whole vibe changes. It goes from a passive comment to an active declaration. To really get why assert works so well, it helps to know where it comes from. It's from the Latin verb asserere, which means to join to. When you assert something, you are literally joining the statement to yourself. You're binding it to your own credibility. You're not just tossing an idea out there, you're formally attaching your name to it and declaring it as a truth you stand by. To assert is to state something confidently and forcefully. It's for declaring a fact or a belief with total conviction. The word itself implies you've got the evidence to back it up, so you don't even need to present it all in that same breath. It's different from claim, which can sometimes hint that something is unproven. And it's different from declare, which is usually more formal, like declaring a winner. Assert is for strong, confident, everyday communication. When you use the word assert, you're making a huge psychological shift from a passive to an assertive communication style. That's the sweet spot between being a doormat, passive, and being a bulldozer, aggressive. It's about expressing your thoughts and needs openly and respectfully. Using assert does a few things for you. It screams confidence. It tells your listeners you have zero doubt. That makes them more likely to have confidence in you. It cuts out the hedging. Phrases like, "I think," "I feel," or "I guess" are hedges, verbal cushions that soften your point. Assert yanks the cushion out and delivers the idea with force. It shows ownership. When you assert something, you own it. You aren't just suggesting it, you're endorsing it. That's a classic leadership move. It earns respect. People respect conviction. Even if they disagree, they're more likely to respect the clarity and confidence of your position when you assert it. Let's see this transformation in action. In a business meeting, weak. I think we're spending too much on marketing. Strong. I assert that our marketing budget is inefficiently allocated. During a performance review, weak. I feel like I've made significant contributions this year. Strong. I assert that my contributions directly led to a 15% increase in team productivity. In an email to a client, weak. I think our solution will be very helpful for you. Strong. I assert that our solution is the most effective way to solve your current challenges. Setting a personal boundary, weak. I guess I'd prefer it if you didn't call after 9 p.m. Strong. I need to assert my boundary here. I'm not available for work calls after 9 p.m. In an academic discussion, weak. I think the author's argument is flawed. Strong. I assert that the author's central argument is fundamentally flawed for 3 reasons. Notice how the after sentence forces you to be more specific and powerful? It's not just a word swap, it's an upgrade. When not to use. Assert is a power tool, not an everyday hammer. Using it wrong can make you sound arrogant. Don't use it for subjective tastes. I assert that vanilla ice cream is better than chocolate just sounds weird. It's an opinion, not a defensible fact. Don't use it when you're genuinely unsure. The word implies certainty. If you're just brainstorming, stick with, what if we considered? Don't overuse it. If you assert everything, the word loses its punch. Save it for the points that really matter. When not to use. Assert is a power tool, not an everyday hammer. Using it wrong can make you sound arrogant. Don't use it for subjective tastes. I assert that vanilla ice cream is better than chocolate just sounds weird. It's an opinion, not a defensible fact. Don't use it when you're genuinely unsure. The word implies certainty. If you're just brainstorming, stick with, what if we considered? Don't overuse it. If you assert everything, the word loses its punch. Save it for the points that really matter. All right, let's practice this. The goal is to get the feel of the word. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat it after me. Let's build that muscle memory. I assert that this plan will meet all our objectives. Next, I assert that our team has the skills to succeed. Next, I need to assert my right to be treated with respect. Next, I assert that quality is more important than speed in this project. Now, let's try something different. I'll give you a weak sentence. Pause and try to upgrade it yourself using assert. Weak. I think our customer service needs improvement. Upgrade. I assert that our customer service is not meeting customer expectations. Weak. I believe our company culture is our strongest asset. Upgrade. I assert that our company culture is our primary competitive advantage. Weak. Maybe we should reconsider the deadline. Upgrade. I assert that the current deadline is unrealistic and must be reconsidered. By swapping tentative language for assert, you're not just changing a word, you're changing how you show up. You're signaling clarity, confidence, and conviction. All right, on to a different situation. Now, you're not just stating a fact, you're in a debate. There are competing ideas on the table. For instance, your team is arguing over 2 strategies, Strategy A and Strategy B. You're backing Strategy A. If you say, I think Strategy A is better, you sound like it's just your personal favorite. If you use our first word and say, I assert that Strategy A is better, it's strong, but you might sound like you're shutting down the conversation. You need a word that shows you're making a reasoned argument and you're ready to defend it. That word is contend. Instead of, I think this method is more effective, you say, I contend this method is more effective. Hear that shift? Contend immediately frames the discussion as a structured argument. It signals you're not just sharing a feeling, you're presenting a case. The origin of contend is actually pretty cool. It comes from the Latin contendere, which means to stretch with or to strive against. Picture a tug of war. That's the feeling of contending. You're actively engaging in an intellectual struggle, aiming to show your position is the strongest. To contend is to argue for a point, especially when there's opposition. It implies you're putting your view out there as a debatable and defensible position. It's the perfect word for discussions and debates, where you want to win people over with logic. Using contend is a smart communication move for a few reasons. It respects the debate. By using contend, you're acknowledging that other viewpoints exist. This is respectful and makes others more likely to listen, because you're not just dismissing them. It frames you as a thinker. Assert frames you as a person of conviction. Contend frames you as a person of logic. It suggests you've thought about the counterarguments and you're ready to talk about them. It invites a logical fight, in a good way. When you contend something, you're asking for a logic-based response, not an emotional one. You're elevating the conversation from a clash of opinions to a comparison of arguments. It shows intellectual guts. It takes confidence to willingly enter an intellectual boxing ring. Using contend shows you're not afraid of being challenged because you believe in your logic. Let's see contend in action. In a strategic debate, weak. I think focusing on emerging markets is a better idea. Strong. While I understand the focus on established markets, I contend that our long-term growth lies in emerging markets. In a formal argument, weak. We believe the evidence shows our client is innocent. Strong. The prosecution has presented their theory, but we contend that the evidence points overwhelmingly to our client's innocence. In an academic discussion, weak. I think Shakespeare's later plays are more about forgiveness. Strong. Many critics focus on the theme of tragedy, but I contend that the primary theme in Shakespeare's later plays is forgiveness. When challenging a colleague respectfully, weak. I'm not sure your plan will work because of the budget. Strong. You've made some excellent points, but I would contend that your proposal isn't financially viable with our current budget. Contend is specific, so use it in the right arena. Don't use it for undisputed facts. You wouldn't say, I contend that the Earth revolves around the sun. It's settled science, not an argument. Don't use it in casual chats. If you're picking a lunch spot with a friend, saying, I contend we should go for pizza, sounds ridiculous. Save it for discussions with higher stakes. Don't use it if you aren't ready to back it up. Contend is a promise. If you contend something, you better have your reasons ready to go. Don't use it for undisputed facts. You wouldn't say, I contend that the Earth revolves around the sun. It's settled science, not an argument. Don't use it in casual chats. If you're picking a lunch spot with a friend, saying, I contend we should go for pizza, sounds ridiculous. Save it for discussions with higher stakes. Don't use it if you aren't ready to back it up. Contend is a promise. If you contend something, you better have your reasons ready to go. Let's practice this one. Remember, you're aiming for a tone that is both formal and confident. Repeat after me. I contend that this approach has a higher chance of success. Next, the lawyers will contend that the contract was breached. Next, I contend there is a more efficient way to structure our team. Now for the upgrade. I'll give you the weak sentence. You make it stronger with CONTEND. Weak. I think my idea makes more sense in the long run. Upgrade. I contend that my proposal is more sustainable in the long run. Weak. I disagree with the conclusion of that report. Upgrade. I contend that the report's conclusion is based on a misinterpretation of the data. Weak. Maybe we should hire an expert instead of trying to do it ourselves. Upgrade. I contend that hiring an expert is the most prudent course of action. Using contend shows you're not just someone with an opinion. You're a thoughtful debater, ready to engage with ideas logically. Okay, on to our third and final word. The discussion has been raging. You asserted your position. You contended with counterarguments. People are still trying to change your mind. You've listened to their points, but you're not budging. How do you say this without sounding like a broken record, just repeating, "I still think"? How do you show your firmness comes from careful consideration, not just plain stubbornness? You need a word that communicates endurance. That word is maintain. Instead of saying, "I still think we should stick with the original plan," you say, "Having heard all the arguments, I maintain that the original plan is our best option." Maintain is like a powerful anchor in a conversation. It says, "I've been through the storm of this debate, and my position is still standing." The origin of maintain gives you a fantastic visual. It comes straight from the Latin manu tenere, which means to hold in the hand. Picture yourself physically holding onto your belief like it's a solid object. That's the feeling maintain gives off. You aren't just thinking it, you are holding it, possessing it, and protecting it. To maintain a position is to continue to believe something, especially when others are trying to change your mind. It shows consistency and conviction over time. It's the word you pull out to reaffirm your stance after it's been challenged. The psychological punch of maintain is huge, especially in a long discussion. It shows resilience. Maintain signals your belief isn't fragile. It's been stress-tested by other views, and it's still standing. This shows intellectual resilience, a key trait of strong communicators. It shows you've listened. It's most powerful when you first acknowledge the other side. "I understand your concerns about the timeline, but I maintain that quality must be our top priority." This proves you aren't just being dismissive. It conveys stability. Someone who maintains a well-reasoned position is seen as stable and reliable. Your beliefs are based on principles, not whims. It ends a circular argument. When a discussion is going nowhere, a well-placed maintain can signal that your part of the debate is over. It politely says, "You're not going to change my mind on this," which can help the conversation move on. Let's see it in practice. In a negotiation. Weak. "Like I said before, we can't go lower than that price." Strong. "We've reviewed your counteroffer, and while we appreciate it, we maintain that our initial price is fair and non-negotiable." During a project post-mortem. Weak. "I still think my decision was the right one at the time." Strong. "Despite the unexpected outcome, I maintain that given the information we had, the decision was the correct one." In a personal disagreement. Weak. "I still feel like you weren't listening to me." Strong. "I've heard your side of it, but I maintain my position that my feelings were not considered." Responding to team feedback. Weak. "Thanks for the input, but my original idea is still better." Strong. "I value everyone's feedback and have given it serious thought. However, I maintain that the original strategy aligns best with our core objectives." When not to use maintain. Like the others, maintain has a specific job. Don't use it to introduce a new idea. It's for reaffirming an existing position. You can't start a conversation with, "I maintain we should order pizza." Don't use it if you're just being stubborn. The word implies your position is based on reason. If you're actually just refusing to listen, using maintain will only highlight your inflexibility. Be careful with its finality. Using maintain can shut down a debate on a topic. Make sure that's your intention. Let's practice holding our ground. Repeat these after me. I maintain that this is the most critical issue we face. Next. Despite the risks, I maintain that the potential rewards are worth it. Next. The company has always maintained a commitment to quality. All right, your turn to upgrade. Turn the weak sentence into one that's firm and resilient. Weak. I know you disagree, but I still think we're on the right track. Upgrade. I understand your perspective, but I maintain that we are on the right track. Weak. I'm not changing my mind about this. Upgrade. I have considered your arguments, and I maintain my original decision. Weak. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Our customers have to come first. Upgrade. I maintain my long-held position that our customers must always be our first priority. Using maintain shows you're not a leaf in the wind. You're a tree, rooted in conviction. So we've got our 3 power words: assert, contend, and maintain. They're strong on their own, but the real magic happens when you start weaving them together in a real conversation. Let's walk through a scenario. You're a project manager, your project is behind schedule, and the team is debating what to do. Here's the OLD way, with weak language. Team member: I think we're behind because the marketing team was slow. We just need to work harder. In the old version, you said, well, I think the problem is more complicated. I think the original timeline was too aggressive. I guess we should ask for more time, but I don't know if management will like that. I still think asking for more time is the only way, though. That response is just full of self-doubt. It's weak and apologetic. It doesn't inspire anyone. You sound like a victim. Now, let's hit rewind and do it the new way. Team member: I think we're behind because the marketing team was slow. We just need to work harder. You say it in the new way. I assert that the root cause here is more complex than one team's performance. The initial timeline was overly optimistic from the start. You've just stated your core conviction with ASSERT. Now, I've heard the suggestion of mandatory overtime. I would contend, however, that this would only cause burnout and increase the risk of errors. You've entered the debate respectfully with contend. Therefore, having reviewed all the potential solutions, I maintain that the most professional and responsible action is to formally request a deadline extension, supported by a revised, data-driven plan. You've listened, considered, and are now holding your ground with maintain. See the incredible difference? In the second version, you're not a passive observer, you're a leader. You diagnose the problem with authority, assert. You engage with other ideas logically, contend. And you state your final, reasoned conclusion with unshakable conviction, maintain. You just guided the entire conversation from blame to a strategic solution. Today, you didn't just learn 3 new words. You learned a system for expressing your thoughts with the clarity they deserve. Let's do a quick final recap. Use assert to state a belief with firm, unshakable confidence. Use contend to make a well-reasoned argument in a debate, acknowledging other views. Use maintain to hold your ground and reaffirm your position after it's been challenged. Weak phrases like, I think, make you sound uncertain. These 3 words, assert, contend, maintain, make you sound like a leader. So here's my challenge to you. In your very next English conversation, try to consciously use just one of these words. Just one. Feel how it changes the energy of the sentence. Notice how it makes you feel and watch how others respond. Which word are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear how it goes. If this lesson helped you, please hit that subscribe button. I'm here to give you more practical lessons just like this one. Thank you for investing your time with me today. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.